Well, I think once you're getting temperatures into the mid-teens below freezing and we see a decent snow cover across the centre of London, we know that a bona fide cold spell is well underway. Thanks for clicking on to the Monday evening edition of Vogan's European Outlook. This was the scene at the Braemar weather station this morning when the temperature dipped to minus 15.7 Celsius during the overnight period last night. Highs today locally no better than minus 12, and we are now starting to see the temperatures crash back into the mid-teens unofficially, according to the Highland Weather network of weather stations dotted across the country. It was a bitterly cold afternoon across the board. We had sub-freezing temperatures, ice day for many sites up and down the land, stretching from near the south coast of England all the way to the north coast of Scotland, and the temperatures are taking a nosedive. These are official readings according to the Meteosail website. We're already down to minus 11. Well, it's actually saying minus 9.3 at Aviemore, but minus 10.2 at Loch Liscarna. Clear skies, light winds. Temperatures today in some parts of the Highlands, like I say, no better than around minus 10 to minus 12 Celsius. So that is certainly a very noteworthy cold day indeed. And I reckon we're heading for minus 18 possible tonight before we start to see cloud and wintry showers moving in from the north as we start to reintroduce a northerly airflow into the British Isles here. So the why are we seeing such extreme cold now across Scotland as opposed to just a few days ago temperatures barely above freezing or barely below freezing, should I say, during even the overnight period? Northerly winds and indeed cloud cover kept the temperature relatively warm compared to a large swathe of England and Wales, where the core of the cold was focused here. Clear skies, the lightest winds, and whatnot allowed temperatures to get down to close to minus 10 in parts of south central England, while Scotland was in that northerly breeze. Then, of course, as you have an area of high pressure settling in, we've had, of course, a week of ongoing snow showers that's been now starting to build the snow cover across particularly Scotland. And, of course, all it takes is for a nice, clear, calm slot, a lid, an atmospheric lid over that snow cover, and that is where you're going to see the temperatures take a crash. And we are in that little slot once again tonight, so pressure around 10-12 millibars and isobars spaced out. So before we have an area of precipitation that turns readily to snow once it hits the mainland during the overnight tonight, I reckon we'll have an early dip to around minus 18, I think. Maybe an outside chance of seeing somewhere hitting minus 20, for example, Braemar once again. But it's interesting nonetheless that we're seeing the cold that was forecast here in the channel since away last week now starting to materialise. Now, the Arctic Oscillation hit minus 4 today on the index, and that is the lowest value for the month of December since 2010, which is quite interesting. We had a classic 965 millibar area of low pressure near the Azores, whereas we had a pressure of 1045 millibars over Greenland. So a textbook negative North Atlantic oscillation as well as Arctic oscillation. And of course, what we're going to see over the next few days is the continuation of cold air coming down from the north here. So this is off the GFS chart here. A lot of uncertainty still remains over the end of week and through this upcoming weekend period. Modelling is still back and forward. Again, I have to re-emphasize the point that it can be very difficult sometimes for the modelling to determine how much cold air is in place and how much that cold air is eroded by milder conditions trying to push in from the Atlantic. There is a lot of complexities within the atmosphere once you start to push mild, moist air into a wall of cold air. And so, therefore, things are still not necessarily clear-cut when it comes to next week. Also, the question is, once we get milder conditions eventually moving in, and I think we will get an element of milder conditions moving in some point through the weekend. The question is, does that mild pattern hold, or do we see the return of cold? And again, the models are back and forth with that. We're actually seeing the GFS indicate that we have the continuation of snow cover building over the particularly northern half of the British Isles, and with clear skies and light winds and high pressure returning next week, temperatures could go right back towards -20 once again next week. That's beyond the period in which the models are indicating milder conditions. So nothing is clear cut. The only thing that's clear cut at the moment is that we have got the coldest day of this cold spell today. Temperatures firmly below freezing, even pretty much across the UK, and we are going to be in for another very cold night. We had a large blanket of cloud and fog, across a broad area of England, parts of Wales through the course of today. Leaden skies, cold skies, a lot of rime ice build up within that fog, and creating some tremendous wintry scenes. Now, of course, we had a significant snow event across the southeast of the UK during the overnight last night here. We'll have a look at some of the photographs. I did promise on Twitter that I would show some nice images that people have taken. By the way, these were the temperatures, just after noon today, -10 Altnahara, -9 Loch Scarnet, -5 at my nearby site. Tain, -3 at Dalcross Inverness, -8 Aviemore, -3, -4 through the central belt, -7 at Drumalbin in Lanarkshire, and of course, like I say, we had temperatures below freezing all the way down to the south coast. So that is a noteworthy cold day across the board here. It'll be interesting to see how cold it gets tonight. So this was the scene here, captured by Martin Kidd's Winter Wonderland in Bedfordshire. 5 inches of snow lying. This was the scene taken by our good friend David Birch from Walsall, just to the west side of Birmingham. I think it's the west side of Birmingham, isn't it, David? Hope I'm right there, actually. But anyway, the greater Birmingham area, anyway, is seeing a nice little covering of snow, temperatures down to -4 as well. This was even parts of North Kent. Beautiful images here captured this morning. Quite a decent snow cover, actually. Some very impressive snow depths here in North Kent. Meopim, I think that's the right way to pronounce it. I think somebody's corrected me before. That's why I'm hesitating to actually pronounce that name, because I'm actually not 100% sure. But listen, I do appreciate you sending in your great images here. This was Charlwood in Surrey. Took off from Gatwick, just back in September. And I remember seeing the cracks in the ground because of the drought. It was, of course, the tail end of such a warm, dry summer. Amazing to actually see this here, especially within the Greater London area. Some very impressive snowy scenes here indeed in the southeast of England. It seems as if it's just becoming harder and harder to get a decent snowfall in the Greater London area. And of course, this is from Dundee satellite station here, showing the snow cover, especially under the clear skies. Southern Scotland, Highland Scotland, I think there's parts of Northern Ireland that have got a bit of snow, parts of Wales also, and of course we've got snow under this cloud cover blanket in much of England, as you can see here. And this was a tremendous couple of pictures here captured by Scott Duncan. Isn't that just an amazing photograph? It's just a shame, unfortunately, that things are the way they are these days with the energy crisis and people struggling to heat their homes. It's a very, very difficult time for people at this moment in time. And as much as we like to see wintry conditions, it's coming at a price, unfortunately. This was a capture from my kitchen window this afternoon. Beautiful Arctic skies, and then of course the sunset just after 3 p.m. I'm about 16 miles just to the north of Inverness here, at the top, nearly at the top of Scotland, and the sun sets pretty early at this time of the year. This is also a tweet that I put out, by the way, the potential for both the GFS and the ECMWF is indicating almost the entire country of Scotland. And I'll look at England and Wales as well, but indicating a very significant snowpack, as you can see here, a week today. So that's next Monday, of course. So yeah, very interesting, very exciting weather pattern, that's for sure. Now, as we play through this loop here, you can see here that we do have this area of low pressure to the east of Shetland. Northerly winds will be reintroduced as that system moves kind of slightly out of the way to the east. That opens the door to a fresh push of Arctic air once again. And of course, before that arrives under the clear skies, light winds, I think the temperatures are going to knock on the door of minus 18, between, say, midnight and 3 a.m. And I think that's when we're going to start to see the clouds come in from the north here, keeping an eye on that system here out over the Atlantic. That's been spinning away for days, trapped underneath that big blocking area of high pressure over Greenland. But you notice here, as that area of low pressure then kind of edges more, east towards Norway, we then have that fetch of northerly winds coming back down, more showers, more snow showers coming, piling in on that increase in northerly breeze. As you can see here, area of low pressure at 980 millibars over Biscay. That is going to try to push up a bank of cloud, precipitation, possible snowfall, if it penetrates inland. But certainly the GFS doesn't really have that. Then as we push towards the Thursday and Friday time frame, we have another space in the isobars, more cold nights, more double digits below freezing, by the way. But keeping an eye on this feature right here to the northwest, that is going to push, certainly according to the latest run of the GFS, that is pushing moisture and a frontal system in. We could see some significant northwest highland snowfall out of this, by the way. Remember the amount of cold air that's in place over land. And then we've got an area of low pressure that kind of reinforces northwesterly winds, cold winds, snowfall. Quite a nasty day on Friday, it looks like, across particularly northern and northwestern Scotland here. Still got an area of high pressure here over the north of France. Cold conditions here during the day on Saturday. And then it's all eyes on the system off the Atlantic as we move towards the end of the weekend here. Again, we've got a mix and match of weather, still cold conditions during the day on Saturday. Then the GFS indicates that we see a shield of moisture moving into the UK towards the end of Sunday here. But even into next week, we're back and forward. So if we look at the 850 temperatures here off the model, we'll see what's going on here. So, of course, over the next 24 hours, we're going to see a reinforcing shot of Arctic air. In fact, it looks as if the model has the coldest air at 850 of the entire period so far. The minus 10 isotherm coming down here with northerly winds. We've got that area of low pressure getting pushed south. You notice here the mild air is getting forced southwards, not managing to get north because the dominant player is the cold coming south here. Then as we play through this loop, slightly less cold air associated with that area of low pressure to the northwest moving in. More cold air comes in behind that boundary. Then as we move towards the weekend, you see more bona fide milder conditions moving in. The question is, with cold air in place, especially down at lower parts of the atmosphere, that mild air runs over the top of that. Could see a messy picture. We could even see some very heavy snowfall associated with that. We could have a situation where you've got cold air, maybe even close to freezing at the surface. 850 temperatures could be +5, +6 Celsius. So nothing is simple, nothing is clear cut when it comes to the potential for mild coming in to the pattern once again. We'll look further on towards the week of Christmas and whatnot in the next couple of days here, but certainly, like I say, nothing is clear cut. Finally, let's have a quick look at the snow cover chart here before I run out of time, because I'm rapidly running out of time. I only get 15 minutes off this screencast. Am I going to get the chance to do this? Yes, I am. So let's play it through. You can see here off the GFS, it's indicating that we have got, this is the run up to Christmas, by the way. Not much in the way of snow out with Highland Scotland, if you notice here. But let's get back to the current period. And you can see here the snow cover continues to expand over the northern half of the British Isles. Not much across the south, if you notice here. But I've run out of time. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you again tomorrow.